I am God, I am gay, I am happy, I am healthy, and in this human form, I'm known as Geronimo Burneo. Geronimo with a G. And this is the way I speak. Also, I'm moving out, so this is the last time I am able to use this cool background situation. So if you haven't seen the last couple of videos with this background, check them out because that's about to change. And if you have no idea who I am, that's completely fine too. Odds are that I don't know who you are either. My name is Geronimo Burneo. I've been a human for 28 years. I'm gonna turn 29 this year, and during my lifetime, something that has been super important for me is my creativity and my creative process and what I'm able to create with my life and what I'm able to create and what I've created and what I want to create. Like, I'm just a highly creative human, and that's led me to live a highly creative life, which basically has put in my way and put in my path a lot of access and a lot of experiences to knowledge about creativity and about how to create. Some months ago, I thought it was a good opportunity to sit down and write a book about it. It's not a very long book yet, but I think all of my best knowledge is in this book, and I just wanted to share it with the world because I know some of you out there always wonder, like, how are creative people so creative? And with this book, I just wanted to use it as an opportunity to remind people that it's in you. It's literally in you. You just have to access it. So yeah, I wrote this book, and now I'm going to share especially something that's very personal to me, because I would say that it's the most personal part of the book. So my book Restless has 5 parts. The first 4 parts are strictly, I would say, practical, knowledge-driven exercises and things that basically are like things you can apply today in your life to be more creative. Then the 5th part is a very important part for me, obviously, because it's my creative path. It's basically certain points in my life where the greatest teacher about creativity was life itself, and what it taught me, and how those moments in my life led me to find the answers through reading, through studying, through finding out by myself core principles of creativity. But those moments were very special. And if you literally don't know anything about me, I think this is a great video to watch because I'm about to read one of those parts. I have a bookmark for it. It's here. I was looking for it, but I remembered I have a bookmark too. It does not come with the book. I have to say that. Don't expect this to come with the book. If we ever bump into each other in real life, I'll give you one. But don't expect it in the book yet. So yeah. Here we go. Part 5. My creative path. The early years. Let me take you back to 2014. My junior year in high school. It was career placement day. I was thrilled to be cutting class, but as we sat down and a sheet of paper was placed in front of me, an overwhelming feeling came over me. I didn't want to take this test. I had spent 11 years at this school, and during the last couple, I had gained the reputation of being a troubled student. My grades simply sucked, and my discipline points left a lot to be desired. In high school, that means you're in the lowest tier, and from an economic standpoint, you're ruining your future with each day that goes by. To this day, I still think that the idea of locking up a bunch of teenagers and expecting them to excel in productivity and academics is vile. Anatomically and collectively, it's one of the worst stages of life. We're hormonal, we ache, we stink, and our highest priority is learning how to socialize in this zoo. On top of that, we're told that our decisions at this point are crucial. It's horrid. So when a piece of paper is put in front of you, a piece of paper meant to test you and to tell what your future studies should be, the pressure is there, the matrix is real, and it can make you snap. And boy, did I snap. I refused to take the test. I was not going to allow this thing to tell me what to do with my path. The institutional psychologist took me out of the room and told me to calm down. I'm a triple fire sign. Never tell that to a Leo. When he realized I wasn't budging, he tried the lowest trick in the book. Geronimo, we're going to have to call your mother. Oh yes, please call my mother. The working widow, a history professor trying to make a living for her 2 sons. Call her, interrupt her lecture, and make her leave work and come to school to tell me to behave. Because that's worked so well in the past. Each time we've had one of those stupid meetings about grades and absences. Beautiful strategy. Sit down and try to intimidate the kid who lost his father a year ago, who has cuts up and down his limbs, and is currently under a cocktail of antidepressants and anxiolytics. He sure isn't numb at all, and will magically care about grades now. So to no one's surprise, I did not take the test. I was probably placed under some lame punishment that I can't even remember, or just got the usual dose of shame and institutional humiliation. But I had 2 whole hours to myself while my peers were taking the test. It was a time to sit outside and reflect about this sick system of artificial natural selection. I thought about the old guy who went to study in the Northeast in the 70s and thought it would be a splendid idea to bring this system to Latin America. He surely has been celebrated as a god in his system of institutions. He has convinced the whole country that he's the founding father of liberal arts, the highest education in the country, herding the elite to go spend their fortunes overseas. But that's a story for another book. And remember, I'm supposed to be the troubled student, so why would you listen to me? Why would you listen to me? That's a very good question, because I was the only one trying to make people understand the gravity of what was going on that day. You know? Like, to them, I was just being difficult. I was just being stubborn. I was just trying to be edgy. But really, when you think about it, when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, and you're constantly bombarded by all of these educational messages of like, your life and your future depends on your biology quizzes. You're frustrated. You just like some of us just don't work like that, you know? And on top of that, one day they bring you all and they sit you down and they give you this piece of paper that will help you with these random questions, and you take it. At the end of the test, it pops out an answer of like, you should study this, you should study that. I was 17. We were all 17. Like, that's the whole thing about humanity and about how we've been living our lives and like just expecting to get these answers from a system and a way and an algorithm and like all of these things. Like, search for the answers inside of you. And how was I, and if I would have searched for the answers inside of me in that moment, how was I supposed to find it when I was living a life, and we were all living a life, where our time was basically being locked up in a school, doing the same thing, just wasting our potential, just wasting our mind, wasting our time, wasting our souls, wasting all of the things we could have been doing. So I did not have the answers. Nobody had the answers. How did the paper have the answers, you know? Like, it was just all very convenient and all very for the owners of the school and for the owners of schools everywhere. That's the problem, the owners of the schools everywhere. And because sadly, in that situation I was in, the school is a business, the university is a business. The only thing they care about is taking your money. Money you could be investing in something you value whenever you have the time to develop your own sense of identity and self and gather the skills to put yourself out there in the world. But no, because private education is the best education. And if you want your kids to have the best education, come give us all your money. And give us all your money while we hurt your kids and push them to have this desire, this artificial desire, to go study abroad in a certain country with high tuitions. And if you're not doing it, you're not successful, and society will condemn you. And this whole very horrible system is owned by someone who has a first name, a last name, an address, a zip code. Like, that's the problem. This whole scheme, educational scheme, was owned by one guy, one old guy. And he had, like, in the country I grew up in, like, he built this whole thing, you know? That's why I was so triggered all the time about this, because how could people not see this, you know? How could people not, like, open their eyes and see that this pressure and this situation we were put in that was not beneficial to us and to our own, like, individuality and personal sovereignty, it was not, was owned by someone, by one guy. How? And there was no other better option, nothing to do. Our parents wanted the best for us, so they were forced by society to spend all their money and give this guy all their money. And I come from a country where the vast majority of the country does not have an opportunity to go to a school like this. Why? Because of this guy and because of people like this, their greed, and because of the way they're wanting to hoard everything. There has never been a public education system in the country because this guy owns the best school and this guy owns the best university. Institutions you have to pay high fees to enter because they're a symbol of status, nothing else. It's not good education. It's trash disguised as, this is the best education. And one person is getting their bank account growing exponentially because of this. And people don't see the gravity of this, don't see the opportunity cost. We have been taught to allow this to happen for too long. With no good public education for the rest of the country, how are you supposed to think that people who are not receiving basic or good education in, like, the vast majority of the country, how are they supposed to go vote and make the best decision if they've never been allowed to receive information that would help their vote be more educated? But yeah, this guy is there getting richer. And on top of that, he's pushing all of the rich kids, all of the elite, to go spend their fortune in another country. Think about, like, that school has been active for the past 20-something years. Like, and from each generation, a lot of them go and spend all of this money in another country. Think about the opportunity cost of that money always leaving the country and not being used to actually create a decent public educational system. So yeah, I was a bit angry that day, and you can see that it still kind of, like, touches a nerve, you know? But it's good to let it out now. That's why writing is, like, been, like, a very good way of coping with the past and the present and the future. The next paragraph will tell you exactly that. I sat there until we had to go back to class and continue with our daily lives. And now that I've had time to reflect against popular belief and the college counselor's advice, I think I made awesome decisions during high school. When we got a taste of this liberal arts freedom, I started taking all of my free electives in creative subjects like visual art, photography, graphic design, creative writing, ceramics, and 3D experimental art. So I did have a head start in my creative studies. I got massive side-eye for it, but look at me now. beware of someone who knows how to wield a pen. By lunchtime, I was probably done spiraling and was already joking about it with my friends. I know I have painted a grim picture until now, but it was not all bad. I was blessed to be surrounded and loved by amazing people. The friends I made during those years had an incredible place in my heart. Without their love and support, I don't think I would be able to be typing this now. I was typing this on my computer when I wrote it. They were my best acolytes in my creative endeavors. Their presence is inescapable during the early years of my creative work. They would always be down to help me out with a photo shoot or making a weird film. One of those works that I'm most proud about was a film that I titled Untitled Anxiety. And it was actually made for my economics class. In one of those rare instances that instead of a quiz or an essay, we were presented with the opportunity of doing something creative, it was my time to slay. We had to pick a social movement and create a piece of media supporting it. I chose the anti-bullying movement because I thought it would give me more creative freedom. I was never bullied by my peers during high school, and as a gay boy, that's saying a lot. So when I started thinking about the film and how to make it, while researching case studies and testimonies, I found a common ground and came to the conclusion. The school as an institution and society are essentially the bully. I wrote the script, gathered my friends, and lights, camera, action. The film was shot in school grounds. I joyfully remember showing it to class. They were all shocked and really didn't know what to make of it. It's a tough watch. You can watch the whole thing, but trigger warnings. All of them. It was one of my first encounters with one of my favorite forms of art. The art of getting away with it. And I have truly fallen in love with it. It was an economics class, so the audience was subpar. It shocked them, but was quickly forced into oblivion, until I posted it on my social media. Through that, I found that I was actually not the only one who felt this way, which, for a change, was shocking for me. Social media worked different back then. Over time, I have learned to plan my antics. A lot of strategy goes into play to give the impression that you're getting away with it smoothly and in plain sight. My strategic thinking was really a survival mechanism that started to take shape during this time. So that video I made, that movie I made, was really special for me because I found out through that it was a way of using my voice, and it was a way of saying things without actually having to go through the trouble of going to someone who's not going to try to understand what you're trying to say with words. It's just a way to send a message that can be even more powerful. And it's a way of speaking, and it's a way of communicating. Once you start creating your own art, it's something that you basically, I would say, it's the main thing you're trying to do, and it's the main thing you're trying to develop. But the average person has no access to this and never has to go through this process, or even discovers that there's a secret language in which you can communicate things that is not speaking and typing and writing, and like there's this like hidden language that we can speak and that can send messages that can gather even more force and become even more powerful. And to me, it's just a bit sad that people don't take interest in creating their own art or creating their own things, because really it's, if we have this misconception that what's the point of doing it if it's not to become famous or to become successful in the capitalist way that success and should be seen or should be portrayed, you know? So to me, like, it's really sad seeing this like huge missed opportunity and seeing people not taking advantage of this. That's one of the main reasons why I wrote this book, because I wanted to help people somehow and do my part. I've had the joy in life to have whatever it takes to go against what people were telling me to do and do the thing I wanted to do. And the thing I wanted to do taught me a lot. Now that I'm 28, I've done some reflection. I think a lot of people would really take a lot of value out of this process, you know? Like, I think we would be getting in like a lot less unnecessary confrontations and unnecessary quarrels and fights if people knew that there was a different way of expressing themselves than what they've been taught to value and to understand, you know? And especially now with the whole like social media and the algorithm and become a creator, like yes, we can do it, we can post it, we can record ourselves and post it, but if we don't change our mindset about how we consume things and why we do things, it's not really what art is supposed to be about, and it's not really what doesn't add the value that art should add in your life. And a lot of people who like are content creators and access their creativity that way, like I think that's super cool and super valid and awesome. But don't forget that it's more than just views, and it's more than just likes, and it's more than just that, you know? Like it's a way of communicating, and repeating messages is not saying something. If whatever I've learned can teach you how to say something and how to communicate, that would be really awesome. That film taught me a lot. Another one of my stunts happened during my photography class. We were going through all of the units you would expect, and one of them was architecture. For a whole month, we had to go around the school campus, taking pictures of it. I found that extremely boring and dull. So instead of doing that, my friend and I smuggled coffee out of the PE office and just enjoyed our free time outside, like anybody would do. Eventually, it was time to hand in my assignment. My friend, whom I dearly love, took the easy cop-out and just took some pictures the last day, which he handed in. He actually did a very good job, but my angsty self really didn't want to continue glorifying the school campus by taking pretty pictures of it. So I decided to face the fact that my assignment was going to be late, and I would have to hand it in with the maximum grade being deducted to a C. C for creative. I asked the teacher for one more week, and she agreed. She was and still is an ally. So for a whole week, I walked around my neighborhood trying to find architecture that spoke to me, which was not happening until I saw that a house was being torn down, and boom, I had an idea for a project. I snuck in after the workers left and photographed the whole thing. I had a blast while I was doing it, and was super proud of the results. I called the work The Architecture of Destruction. Also wrote an essay justifying the concept. My teacher was so impressed that she bypassed the system and gave me an A with a special mention in the school assembly. That did not happen. I am being sarcastic, and yeah, obviously that did not happen. And I wrote it down. That did not happen. What really happened is that I got my deserved C, my very well deserved C, but she was really impressed by my work and sat down and we had a deep chat. Actually, she was the first to let me know that I was onto something with this dangerous tango of creativity, strategy, and the magnificent art of getting away with it. To end on that note, it is very defiant. They were experiences that since the beginning there was a huge emphasis on defying. And I am sure I am not the only one who notices that the way we were raised and the way we were taught and the things they put in our minds since a very early age are not taking us to a place that serves for the greater good to humanity. Like the future that's being planned for us was never the best for us, and I felt it strongly back then, and I felt very isolated and very alienated and got a lot of for speaking out and for doing all of these things. But I still am a very optimistic person, and I do have a lot of hope, and I think that by me sharing this, I'm doing something, I'm actually doing something, and I hope that this finds a way to get to the right people and we can start actually creating a future that's worth walking towards to, because the actual one does not look nice, and a lot of the things we have to do first to imagine a good future is to somehow cleanse ourselves and cleanse our minds and cleanse especially our subconscious mind that was used and weaponized while we were young and while we were growing up. Something I mentioned at the end of this chapter is like assembly, because when you really think about it, schools and institutions, like, they're constantly using and programming your subconscious mind for you to always have a dependent relationship towards them. Like, those are the messages they're trying to like put in your mind. Like, it's no secret that the subconscious mind is programmed through ritual and through repetition. Like, that's the way you program like the deeper areas of your mind that weirdly are running the show. Back then, I always had a very strong repellent reaction to those types of environments, like, and also those environments tended to repel me too, because there was just something around me and like my energy and my field that made those things not become like, it showed how brittle and how weak they are. This whole thing of like gathering the students and putting them in an assembly, and the ritual of the singing the national anthem, and then the school this and the school that, like, then the whole weird thing of the kids with the best grades dressed in white going with a candle, and like, it's very weird Matrix, Illuminati, Masonic weird rituals that are there to create certain subconscious contracts telling certain people like, you're advancing inside the institution and you're not. And it's just a reminder that institutions are so dangerous because they maintain the status quo, and they are the ones who have the will and have not the will, but have the power to run society in a certain way. So if you're raised and you come up and you're raised in society seeing these things, you really are losing a lot of your sovereignty and a lot of your individuality just to get into these certain situations that is sending a very weird and not optimal signal to your subconscious mind onto who your allegiance is with and who you believe in and who you don't. And I have this anecdote that in my country they do this thing where like, it's when you're in senior year, they make you like swear the flag. It's called Jura de la Bandera. I don't know how to translate it, but it's this thing that like, this whole ceremony that like, you have to go in front and like kiss the flag in front of the parents, and it's like this whole thing. Like, those are ways of programming the subconscious mind. Those are those rituals, those things, like, they seem so pointless then, and it seems like, why just get dressed, go and do it. But it's because you're not seeing what that's doing to yourself and what's that living into your mind, you know. And when I was in senior year, like, I I had blue hair. I had like blue hair because I just wanted to have blue hair, because I'm a sovereign being, I can do that. And the school almost didn't allow me to participate in this ceremony, which you had to do to graduate, because I had blue hair. Fishy to be a school that presented itself to be so like liberal and liberal arts and stuff like that, you know. Who were they fearing? I don't know. I'm certain that it was just not my blue hair, but my blue hair became the scapegoat to that. And like, it was just like this chain of like commands that came in like the hierarchy of like the owner sending their henchmen to tell me that I could not participate in the ceremony, and I could because I had blue hair. I remember like that being like this intense like core moment in my like individuality and in my development, just knowing that I was not going to allow myself to be intimidated by this stupid thing. And who were they to tell me what to do? So what I did was I got very drunk with my friend the afternoon after they told me I couldn't do it with my blue hair. we actually read the school code of honor, and we sent this email where I cited all of the points in where the school was so open and so liberal and all of these things, and how their actions were not aligned with what they were writing. They were not practicing what they preached at all. And the thing that was like the cherry on top of the cake was that the year before, the person who was the valedictorian was a girl who had blue hair. She had the tips of her hair were blue. And I texted her and I was like, this is going on, can I please attach your photo and send it to the email? And she agreed, and I did that. And the school had nothing to say, had to allow me to do this thing with blue hair or not, because it was literally in their code. And I did it with my blue hair, and it might seem something silly for me to tell now, and it might be something like pointless for somebody who was not me and who was not there. But from a perspective of being the one who lived through it, I can tell you that seeing things strategically, like, I'm going to write an email and I'm going to attach the photo and I'm going to actually read the school codes of honor and this is the way I'm going to compose it. Like, that type of thinking only came to me at the moment, which allowed me my freedom to a certain degree, if we see it in the context of the story. That came to me because I had allowed myself to be creative in my life against what I was being told to follow and to comply and to, like, yes, you can take art classes, but you're a disgrace for it, you know? But now that I realize that type of thinking and that thought process and that way of approaching and looking for solutions and not letting myself be bullied and intimidated by a school and a system only came because I gave myself and I put myself in the situations where creativity taught me these lessons, and creativity taught me about the process and how we are actually sovereign beings. We are owners of our own light, of our own life. We're able to forge our own path. We're able to create our own reality with the things we have, to create more. Like, those are things that creative writing classes teach, and that 3D experimental art teaches, and photography and design, and like that way of thinking. And it's a way of thinking that has been, like, for too long taken to a certain sector and taken to a certain type of people and taken, like, to just people who work in creative industries have access to this way of thinking. But even to that, I'm saying you are an active creator whenever you choose to be, you know? And I fear that we're coming into a point in life where we really need to start waking up to the power that we have and to the things we're able to do, and to know that we're not powerless towards the ones who are taking us to a certain future, you know, and who have certain agendas and certain plans. And even me being able to sit down here today and read out my book that I wrote, and with the things that I've learned and what life had taught me, you know, like, I feel powerful, and I'm glad that I'm doing it. And I hope that just by spending this time with me and reading this with me and, like, listening to this, you know that this power is in you too. And yeah. Thank you for my story, for being with me in my story time moment. Like I said that I told you at the beginning of the video, I'm moving. I have another video that I've been restlessly working on. It's complex and it's very spiritual. I'm taking my time with it because I really want to nail it, but I wanted to share this one first. I'm Geronimo, and welcome to this channel. I really hope that this channel will allow you to feel creatively successful in your own life too. and for you to realize that creativity is not just a cute little thing we do, but an actual power we have. So all of the best for you.